Hey guys, welcome to Dicentra. Dicentra is a visual novel style horror game, and the description of this one is you play as Basil, a young boy lost in a forest of watchful trees and unfriendly guides. In a harsh storm, his only sanctuary is a seemingly abandoned mansion. Only once the doors have locked behind him does he learn that this place is haunted by more than just ghosts. So, the style looks wonderful, of course, and I think this one boasts, what did they say, six endings, and like a healthy amount of CG, so it should be lengthy. Anyway, let's get into it. This game contains content, themes of death, lots of grief, violence, animal death, imprisonment, flashy imagery, jump scares, intoxication, horrific imagery, and descriptions, mental illness, suicide, not involving main characters, and loud sounds that players may find uncomfortable or disturbing. Player discretion is advised. Please play responsibly and take care of yourself. Yippee! Oh god, look at that. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. How do I hide this? Okay, it doesn't matter. You see it. I think to be curious is to be brave. Because to be curious is to risk buckling under the weight of your choices. And to remain evergreen means you might never truly know yourself. My breath comes out in smudges of white clouds as I limp through the rain. It blurs my vision, resigning me to relying on touch and my most basic instinct as I make my way through the forest with wind crushing against me from all sides. I've never been much for prayer, but would it be too late to start now? Digging my claws into something might just make me feel less alone right now. Then again, which of the gods would accept my petitions? I fumble over tangles of roots and slip over wet moss. My bones instantly shudder from the cold shock that shoots up my arms as my nails grab onto a nearby rock. The cuts all over my body start to sting again. A pathetic whine escapes my throat. My grandmother would click her virulent tongue at me if she could see me now. I can hear her snide remark already. See what happens when you don't listen to me? As if I wouldn't survive long enough to hear the real deal. I sniffle in frustration and try to shake the feeling away with the rain dripping down my face. She's always right, of course. I just... For a moment, I thought I had finally forgotten what I wanted so badly. Earned all on my own in spite of how it was always placed out of my reach. It was almost worth the consequences that came after. Lost in thought, I lose control of my limbs. I'm not used to controlling them all at once, and it's enough to throw me back into the slick earth. My eyes begin to burn, and the pain that drags along my body suddenly starts to overwhelm me. The storm above is harsh, and the thick canopy of trees above me does little to curtail its rage. Instead, the trees passively turn their leaves away. If I had the guts, I'd throw my grandmother's most colorful curses at them. My gaze, sorrowful, trails to the moon, wondering if she would be willing to rally against them in my defense. Who could intimidate the spirits in the wind better than the grave daughter on the night of her visit? I watch her as if she might truly descend from the sky, but like every other night where she turns her face to the ground, she bears no sign of acknowledgement in the slightest. Wearily, I force myself to take a deep breath. I shakily lift myself from the ground, trying hard to ignore the bite of pain that comes from my arm. Lately, the summer weather has been fickle. Long stretched weeks have surrendered to an endless cycle of torrid heat waves and thunderous rainstorms, and to my chagrin? Oh, chagrin, I've never seen that word spelled out before. To my chagrin, I've been caught in a relentless sheet of downpour. The rain comes down like shards of ice against my skin, like it falls within the intent to hurt. In the puddle in front of me, I watch it disturb the murky surface with a chorus of ripples. The brief moments where the reflection almost settles, I see piercing yellow eyes, dark fur, wilted ears, sleek and clinging to the small, vulnerable form of a wolf pup. Hey, Shayla! The voice of my grandmother hisses in my mind. What have you done, Basil? I stare into my reflection, and silence frames the grief that lodges into my throat. I need to get back home. Tear away from the puddle and trek on. Wait, that's us? We're so cute! Please, Something lead me back home. Something, anything. I wonder if it's a wise thing to send a wish out into the unknown, to make it tangible is to lose control of who or what finds it. As exhaustion finally reached my mind, I swear, something in the dark answers. Still faint, I question if it's real. A howl cuts through the wind, or perhaps it's the wind that shrinks away from the sound that amples through. Fighting my way through the storm has left my body hollow. My mind might no longer remember what reason is. All my instincts scream to ignore it, but my heart, a stupidly curious thing, makes me take a step forward. My fuzzy ears pick up the heavy sounds of my heart pounding and try to convince myself it's because of fear. I need to focus on where the howling's coming from. As I move closer to the sound, it begins to resemble what I can only assume to be crying. Storm also starts to mysteriously retract its claws. Is it the forest showing mercy, or has it submitted to something more formidable? I've lived in the woods my whole life. I know better than anyone to never get too comfortable. Red light perforates the dark atmosphere. Sorry. I swallow harshly. There's a mansion in the middle of the woods. In the distance, it would look abandoned if not for the hazy red light coming from the rooftop. Squint. Is that a greenhouse? Silhouette of a figure moves quickly behind the looming glass window, startling me. I duck into the tall and neglected grass that surrounds the shadowed manor. After a short while, I peek through the blades. The shadow is gone. Did I imagine it? I release a nervous laugh and observe the grounds for any sign of life or death. It was a bad idea to come here. A terrible one, even. Can't stay here. Wait, we don't know that yet. Okay, we just pulled up. I retreat back into the forest's brambled embrace, keeping the mansion in my line of sight. The moment I feel bold enough to turn back against it, a powerful gale slams into me. I tumble back hard, skidding across the ground and into the tall grass with a cry. It takes me a moment to recover from my swirling vision. My wounds scream at me, and I wonder how much further I can even go in this state. I grit my teeth and get back on my feet, keeping my weight off my arm as I make for the forest again. Again, I'm denied interest by the mysterious force. Panic starts to seep through my bones, and I swallow against the tightness that now constricts my heart. I stare at the trees as though they'll suddenly start playing nice. These woods were likely old enough to witness the earth before the heavens left it marred with holy fire. It will waste not a second more on aiding me. The wind gives one more shove. It insists I move forward. I bare my adolescent canines at it to disguise the sting from its manipulation. I face the mansion once again, clear that something or someone from the inside is inviting me in. With no other choice, I creep along the worn brick walls of the mansion and try to find a way in. Oh, okay, first choice. Oh, go on then. Let's save. I go to a window, I go to the cellar. I don't even know if these are important yet. Cellar door, I go somewhere else. Let's go somewhere else. Let's see if we can just leave. Faint knocking grabs my attention. I pad to the back of the mansion, and my saving grace comes in the form of a door left slightly ajar. Wait a second. Hold on. Can we just go back right now? Let's go back. I kind of want to see, because I thought he was going to be like, I'm just going to leave, but he did say you can't leave yet, right? So let's go to a window just to see. I spy a broken window and see a gauzy white curtain thrashing against the glass from the intruding storm. Sadly, it's far too high for me to climb, and there's no way I can jump in this state. Ooh, I jump at a nearby clap of thunder. Oh, I didn't even realize that the little sprite over here is expressing himself. Okay, cool, he has expression. My eyes blink through the rain and I squint. When the searing white light of the lightning above reflects on something that sits on the windowsill, I take a step back and see a simple white vase that holds a gathering of withered roses. Perhaps I can take this as proof that the mansion can safely serve as an empty shelter for the night. Turn and look for somewhere else to enter. Okay, cool, so you still get these. I find an entrance to a cellar. The wood of the doors looks rotten, but it doesn't give the place. No, sorry, it doesn't give when I place 2 paws on it and push my weight into it. My ears flick back in disappointment. Though I'm also relieved I didn't go tumbling through the old wood into some unknown death. Heavy iron handles sit unchained. All I need to do is find a way to open them. I try to squeeze my snout through one of the handles, and as I bring my face closer to the moldy wood, a faint sound comes from below. I immediately freeze. Icy rain weighs down on my fur and intensifies the chill that drapes over me like a thick coat. I swallow, then lean forward to press one of my droopy ears against the door. I listen closely. Serpentine hisses come from the other side of the wood. My breath stills. My ear remains glued to the door. I try to find sense in the sounds. I hear, then, something slam right against the wood where my ear is pressed against it, and I fling back in shock. Fur against my neck is completely ruffled, and my tail curls between my legs in fright. I stare at the cellar door with owlish eyes, half expecting a beast to burst out and eat me. But nothing happens. Still, my racing heart does not calm as I track through the muddy grass in search of some other entrance. He does describe himself like a lot. My ears. Like the way something's going on. A faint knocking grabs my attention. I pass to the back of the mansion. My saving grace comes in the form of a door left slightly ajar. Nice, we got all of them anyway. Aha! Great band. I nudge my nose into the tight gap, and relief washes over me when it parts. An ear-piercing screech echoes through the mansion as the door's hinge begins to shift. From the looks of it, they haven't moved for a long time. A feeling of ice floods my veins. I stay frozen in the doorway. If the mansion is occupied, there's no way I didn't just announce my entrance. Fear takes over again. My back paw intuitively steps back so I can attempt to run as far away from this place as I can. The sound of thunder explodes behind me. I feel my body take on life of its own as I throw myself into the mansion against my will. The door slams on my way in. I breathe shallowly. When I come to my senses, I'm in a kitchen. Let us cook, then. It's dark inside the house. The only source of light is the muffled moonlight that comes from the windows above the counters. Everything beyond its reach is a void. I see a kitchen table and crawl towards it, scratching my nails along the musty wood flooring in a rush to get beneath it. I stay under the table as my breathing starts returning to a normal pace. My eyes are wide and my ears are perked up, on the lookout for anything that could be a threat. The only sounds I pick up are the heavy drums of rain from outside and the occasional creak of the mansion walls breathing in the night air. When I'm confident that there's no sign of life in my vicinity, I crawl back into the open and immediately shake off as much rain and mud as I can. I let myself celebrate the minor luxury of finally escaping the maws of the weather, but I don't let my paranoia slip from its moorings just yet. As soon as my eyes assimilate to the dark, I take the time to study my surroundings. I notice a hearth that lacks any recent maintenance. Dishes crowd the countertops, and a thick layer of dust has me smothering a sneeze. This place hasn't been occupied in a long time. Surely, I can allow myself to breathe just a little bit easier in this place, at least till the storm wanes. I bring in a deep inhale, being careful not to get any dust on my sensitive nose, and tread cautiously. As I sneak further in, I hold my breath at every corner, carefully looking in all directions for danger. The rest of the mansion is as devoid of life as the kitchen. Most of the rooms have closed doors. The ones I could see in were graciously empty, except for the derelict furnishings within. Barely anything is in decent shape. Ugh, I just got something in my eye. Gross. I couldn't guess how long it's been since the humans lived in this manner, but based on the scratched hardwood floors and the broken but intricate-looking side table nestled in a dark corner, I have the impression that this place was neglected even while it was occupied. My nails tap on the floor as I limp into the hallway, my mind finally settling from all the adrenaline. The ache in my front leg starts to swell, and the heat of my body intensifies the pain. I try to admire the paintings lining the. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to admire the paintings lining the walls from end to end. Okay though, but it's hard to see them in the dark. Through glimpses of light, I can make out some faded landscapes, a few mountains, some castles, and a couple of portraits. One portrait in particular catches my eye. I stop in front of it, stare at the portrait, foolishly thinking that it's staring back. The rising heat in my body must be making me see things. As I observe the side profile of a pale woman, I notice that she's eerily the most realistic painting I've seen so far. Texture in her skin and hair is so lifelike. I feel like I could feel it if I were to reach up and touch the canvas. When she turns her head to look down at my tiny form, every hair on my body goes stiff. Yeah, that'll do it to you. Her lovely features, captured in oil, begin to melt off as she steps out of the painting. Oh, this wasn't what I was imagining at all. This is badass. Sorry. Smooth, ivory skin shrivels to a deathly pallor. The elaborate gown clinging to her sharp shoulders begins to rot as her torso parts open like a blooming rose, revealing decaying bone and organs that run down her skirt like a horrific pattern. I immediately start running away as fast as I physically can. As I scramble to get away on my hurt leg, I hear something that might be worse than a ghost. The woody and spicy scent of incense fill the humid air, creating a hazy purple fog. The sound of chains moving in a controlled rhythm rattles me to the marrow in my bones. Footsteps follow shortly after, growing louder alongside the clinking chains. It's coming from the staircase. My breath quickens. I slide to a halt and backtrack away from the sounds. I look behind me and see the glowing apparition of the woman's hunched form stumbling towards me, dragging a trail of gore with a wet squelch. Hide. I need to hide. But where? My eyes dart across every inch of the hallway, desperately searching for a small sanctuary. The footsteps are right behind me. The ghost is right in front of me. This hallway now feels like a tomb. All of the doors are firmly shut. I press against the wall, my heart skipping a beat when I notice a faint tapping sound coming from behind me. I turn around and witness the outline of the door revealing itself. I waste no time shoving my muzzle between the crack to wrench it open. As soon as I pry the door open, I hurl myself through, back into the darkness. I walk backwards away from the door, keeping my eyes on it. I'm so focused on the door that I bump into something cold and almost trip over it. I look up and see a dark iron staircase curling up to a high ceiling. A hatch near the top is open, letting the rain from outside drip down into the cold metal. Lovely. I hear footsteps once again, this time much louder. I don't dare breathe or move. It's a cool design. Here you are. The voice startles me into moving. No way was I about to stick around and find out what fate awaits me. Every fiber of my being rings with danger as I climb the stairs. Adrenaline is the only thing that signals my limbs to move into moving. I drag myself up from the iron steps until I'm bursting onto the roof and back into the storm. A fog of fright muddles my mind. I see the greenhouse I had spotted earlier and sprint towards it as fast as I can. I search for a small space to crawl into, tripping over a mess of vines along the way. Thunder and lightning roar above me. A bright flash of white blinds me. I can feel my claws scratch against the wet tiles. The door slams shut in the distance, causing a rippling effect in the walls and reaching the rooftop. When the rippling stops, everything goes quiet. The energy of the manor shifts completely. A jolt of lightning from the storm makes my first stand. It charges the air and saturates it with the smell of ozone. I shake the rain from my face. The whole world has fallen silent, except for the sound of a chilling drip. Basil. Freeze. My eyes carefully follow the coil of dead roots on the gray floor to the greenhouse. I follow its trail all the way to the blood dripping onto the dirty tiles and the pale feet beside it. My eyes climb the mysterious figure. I don't think I'll ever forget the sight before me as short as I live. Lightning flashes brightly through the tall windows. Looming rose bushes creep along them, white roses speckled across its dark leaves like stars in the sky. The bright flowers begin to bleed red before my eyes. At the bush's crimson soaked center, a small girl stands with her back toward me. Back toward you. See me over. Blood drips from tiny bite marks all over her hand. A red flower bulb is crushed between her delicate fingers. Instead of a strong floral scent, the smell of burning paper and wilting lilacs floods my senses. A whine unwillingly crawls at my throat and cuts through the silence. Time resumes once again. The girl turns. Her gaze pierces right through me. Bulb drops from her hand. She doesn't say a word. Her attention is mine, whether I want it or not. Black dots begin to appear in the corners of my vision. The last thing I see is her walking toward me, where everything fades to black. Ah, classic. My fever is brutal throughout the night. Slip in and out of consciousness to flames beneath my skin and an ache I'd rather sleep off than face. I try to make my body go back to sleep, but rough hands force my jaws open and I feel something shoved down my throat. The intrusion makes me violently resist, but I'm far too weak to fend the intruder away. Dark takes me into its arms once again. I wake to the tang of rusty metal and humid air. The unfamiliar sensation makes my eyes snap open. Beyond the small cage that holds me, it's dark and damp. I clench my jaw as I examine my surroundings. Soon my eyes fixate on the ghost staring at me from outside of my metal prison. I yelp and throw my body backwards, hitting the back of the cage. I expect a bite of hard metal on my back, but something smooth bends around my shape instead. It hisses at me in response. I don't think it liked that very much. My claws scrape the cold floor of the cages as I spin. The bars behind me morph into slithering vipers and defensive stances, each one bearing their fangs in danger. Careful. Their venom will make the blood in your body solidify in seconds. That would be a very pleasant way to die. I look at the ghost in horror. I'm breathing so quickly that I'm convinced I'll die from lack of oxygen, or so I think. The vipers settle back into metal bars, and I make myself small. I don't want to risk testing their patience again. The ghost is not a ghost, but a girl. Hair looks like ink that's been violently knocked over and spilled onto the floor. It melts into the dark surroundings, contrasting her gray, sickly-looking skin. Her expression is blank. I see her hands tightly clutching her white gown. Do you bite? Do you? I reveal my teeth through a snarl and watch as she shows hers with a small smile. Fur along my spine stands up. She starts to move as I flinch. The girl crawls toward the cage and I curl my nails. She reaches for me, a pale hand passing between the bars without resistance. It freezes right in front of my snout. Is she checking to see if I would really bite? Has she no fear? Offering her hand so fearlessly in the presence of a beast. I may only be a pup. The sheer force of my jaws can pierce right through her palm. I repel from her hand. There we go. I didn't realize it was going to be timed. Holy crap. I pull my face away from her hand and see her startle from my peripheral vision. She pulls her hand back and holds it against her collar. My eyes lock with hers as she stares at me with her lips pressed together. I think she expected me to bite her. It'll be hard for me to protect you if you're too scaredy cat to do as I say. My eyes snap back to the girl. I watch as she stands up and wipes her hands on her dress, not showing a single care for how dirty it's become. If you want to survive, you'll have to listen to my instructions. Okay, doggy? Oh, doggy! She tilts her head like she expects me to respond. Don't try to be brave. You can only survive this place if you're smart. The others had too much fight in them. It made them foolish. My heart pounds in my chest from her words alone. She gives me another haunting smile. When your arm is better, I'll take you for a walk before he gets back. This is what she sounds like when she's excited. It's unsettling. She suddenly moves close to the cage again. I jump and back away, just enough to not risk getting into trouble with the vipers again. The scent of burning parchment and wilting lilacs returns. The girl's hair falls off her shoulders. I expect ink to trickle down and dye her dress black. My name is Dove. Horrible to meet you, Dove. Roses. I spend the night nursing my dregs and my fever. When I'd first woken up, I didn't take notice of how much I'd already been soothed, but now vague memories of violating hands surface in my thoughts. But the girl, Dove, gave me some kind of medicine during the height of my fever. My body still feels uncomfortably warm. I rest my head on one arm, glance at the one that's been hurt earlier. A clean bandage is firmly wrapped around it, not enough to cut off the blood flow, but enough to restrict its movement. Was this also Dove's handiwork? I sigh softly through my nose and close my eyes. Time passes ambiguously in the cage, with nothing to reference. I don't know if it's been mere hours or days. A bowl of water sits in the corner of my cage. I know from the dryness of my throat that I need to hydrate, but I have yet to muster up the courage to approach the bars that slither and rattle every so often. I'm desperate enough to finally quench my thirst. The bars maintain their metal form to my relief. Feeling better now, I curl into a ball and my tail cradles my face. I want to go home. Exhaustion catches up to me once again. Fall asleep on crusty metal and wake on dusty wood. The sound of wind chimes alerts me into consciousness. My eyes snap open and my retinas are immediately burned by the color that floods into them. The floor in front of me is a kaleidoscope of lights created by the morning sun, a stark contrast to the dark and dreary setting I was previously confined to. Maybe I dreamed it in all feverish haze. Check on the gauze around my arm. It's still there. How does this pup know about like a whole lot of stuff, like kaleidoscope, for instance? Gauze? Like, he comprehends like a lot of stuff that I would assume that like only humans would really know. But I guess since we're seeing this from his perspective, it has to be as like what he says has to be like a lot. I don't know. I just thought the dialogue would be a bit different for a wolf pup, you know. Sorry, I'm just looking at the surroundings now. Stop right clicking. It's nice in here. We get lost in a book in here. Okay. I check on the guns around. Okay, it's still there. A weight around my neck brings me back into focus. A collar is secured around my throat. Attached to it is a long and heavy chain that leads to the leg of a large wardrobe in the corner of the room. Bedroom. Taken my latest cage. There are no longer venomous bars to keep me, but the state of confinement has not changed. My eyes move from the rainbows on the floor to the line of the chain restraining me, then to the rest of the room. I look at the windows and find swirling murals and expressive paintings of various creatures and monsters. The sun behind them illuminates the floor with speckles of color like a stained glass window. Past the frame of the window, the drawings continue in nonsensical scrawl. Less art decorates the walls, but shelves with cracked paint plant pots and hanging tangles of ivy take their place. Dirty cups and bowls sit forgotten in a dark corner. I briefly note two shallow dishes near where I lay. They look like they would be used by a pet. Judging from the surprising lack of grime from under them, it hasn't been that long since they were last used. Dusty books and crumpled parchment litter the floorboards. Taking up half of the room is a canopied bed. Dark curtains are pulled tightly together, preventing me from seeing inside. The sound of scratching captures my attention. Drag my gaze past the piles of books. There, sitting on a raggedy blanket, hunched over and scribbling over the print in a book, is Dove. She gnaws on her lips and pinches her brows. I can hear her whispering something to herself. No. That won't work. I slowly lift myself off the floor, cringing at the sound of clanking chains following my movement. Dove makes no move acknowledging my presence, so I continue approaching her. When I'm closer to her back, I'm able to get a better look at what she's furiously writing. Scribbles of occult symbols like the words on pages completely illegible. I swallow a lump in my throat. The collar around my neck feels very heavy now. Dove suddenly tears a page from the book. The jarring sound makes me jump and I slam into the tower of books sitting toppling to the floor. Dread weighs heavily on me. I look back at Dove. She's now staring at me with wide eyes. You're awake. I release a small yelp and stare at her dumbfounded. She's brighter. Or maybe it's the luminous light filtering through the bedroom window. Something about it paints her in a rose-tinted lens that makes my wariness waver. That feeling instantly vanishes when she gets up and rushes towards me. I run away as fast as my legs will allow me, but my air supply is abruptly cut off and I'm thrown off my feet. A sharp howl is pulled from my throat. I look behind me and see that the chain of my collar has pulled taut. I had reached its limit. I then see Dove standing in the spot I had bolted from. Her gaze creeps along the chain, making its way to my crumpled form. Icy blue eyes stare into mine and I shudder. It feels like she could unravel me through sight alone. She looks at me like she knows. Then she perks up, snapping the tension away. Oh, right, you're probably starving. The others were also very skittish when they had empty bellies. Her voice trails off as though she's become lost in thought. She starts weaving through the mess of book piles to reach the bedroom door. She said the others, and then she trails off for a second. Is she thinking about the bad fates of the other, pets or whatever that came through here? Could be that. Could be that. Well, we'll see. I don't know. I never trust anybody in these games. Remember that last guy from the... It doesn't matter. Sorry. Wait here. I don't have much of a choice. Dove returns with with a bread roll and a bowl. She sets the bowl down a couple of feet in front of me and retreats back to chew on her own food. I attentively approach it. The bread smells like heaven. I lick my lips on instinct. It must have been ages since I last ate because I watch her tear chunks from it, mark every little crumb falling into her white dress with yearning. I yearn for the bread. I look down at the bowls she left for me. The sight of red fleshy chunks greets me. Raw meat. She gave me a bowl of raw meat. Can't eat this. Or, well, maybe I could. But the idea of it, well, really? Has nausea coursing through me. I never expect a wolf to reject raw meat. I stare at the fresh blood pooling at the bottom of the bowl. And I glance over at the bread. Then back to the bowl, feeling conflicted. My stomach growls. I could feel saliva start to drip down the side of my mouth. I can't do it. You gonna let it go to waste? Dove's voice comes from right above me, and fear flutters in my stomach. Okay then. I snap up. Dove reaches for me, and I flinch, scattering away. She kneels in front of the bowl and dips her hand into it, crushing a fistful of squishy red meat between her fingers. She brings the raw meat to her mouth. I'm gonna freak out for the drama. I rush forward and clamp my teeth on her sleeve, tucking her arm away from her face before she can eat the raw bits of flesh. The sudden change in momentum throws her off balance. She throws her arm out in front of her to catch herself from falling over. She stares at me in bewilderment and blinks. The raw meat slips from her hand and onto the floor. Blood seeps through the cracks and soaks into the grain of wood. What is it? She picks up the bowl and stares into the clump of tender flesh. Has the meat gone bad? She brings the bowl to her face and gives it a sniff. Her nose scrunches. It smells okay. Still. Dove stands up, scraping the pieces of meat off the floor and throwing them back into the bowl. Then she starts to leave. Fine, I'll get you something a little more savory. I put it in a pan and cook it up for me, please, mothership. Dove returns with a new bowl of what looks like stew. I inspect it thoroughly, checking for insects or anything inedible. When I surmise that there's nothing left of the sort, I dig in greedily. My eyes begin to sting after the first few bites. The stew is so bland. Well, I've been there before. It makes me yearn for my grandmother's cooking so badly. In the corner of my eye, I can see Dove watching me like a hawk. Actually, he said grandmother. Grandmother's cooking? Is Basil actually just a boy that got turned into a wolf? We don't know. Let's just keep going. Like a single blink is enough to make me vanish. If only I could. As I finish eating the stew, a soft thudding captures my attention. I look back to see my tail wagging against the floor. I feel myself shrink with embarrassment. I immediately cease its movement, but not before Dove takes notice. Looks like your energy has returned. Her eyes move to my arm. Does it still hurt? Stare at Dove, and hesitantly put my weight on my wrapped up arm. The sharp pain is mostly gone, but a dull ache still remains. If the opportunity for me to run away came, I could probably do it, but not without difficulty. I make a frustrated whine. Dove tilts her head at me, considering my reply. She approaches me again, slowly this time. I hold my breath as she comes closer, hands hovering near the collar around my neck. Suddenly hyper aware of how quiet it is. There's no drum of rain or crack of thunder to be heard from outside. Hope dares to grow inside my racing heart. Will you hurt me if I take it off? I answer her. I shake my head lightly, or slightly. Dove gives me a curious look. Her hands hover for a short moment, and she nods. The weight of the collar lifts off my shoulders, then I bolt. My swift escape shoves Dove aside. I barely see her get thrown to the floor as I make for the open bedroom door. Dove makes a panicked noise behind me. It fades out in my rush to leave her behind. Then I back into the hallway where the horrors began. I need to go back to the kitchen. I sprint to the stairs. Then suddenly, I'm skidding to a stop when a wall meets me at the end of the hall instead of a staircase. I stare in confusion. Did I go the wrong way? I look around the wall. I don't remember seeing this many doors. A sinking feeling unravels in my gut. I run down the new hallway. Oops, that's the right clicking. Then turn into another. Then another. My exploration of the manor was cut short when I first arrived, so maybe I can't remember everything well enough. But I swear, these are not the same halls I walked through before. After I turn into hallway number 15 in this new labyrinth, the sound of something being dragged cuts off my thoughts. I look behind me, fear pulsing in my veins. A ghostly figure slowly walks down the cross-section of another hall. That's just like me, for real. Long hair protrudes from its head, running down to the floor stiffly like straw and hiding most of its long limbs. I watch it disappear around the corner, completely frozen in my spot. Another ghost. I've seen one this corrupted before. I've never seen one this corrupted before. I now feel extremely vulnerable, like a beacon standing in a long and open corridor. Tapping noise is next. My heart pounds violently in my chest as I search for the sound. I immediately see another ghost heading straight for me. I yelp and crush myself against the wall as if it'll make me invisible. This ghost staggers toward me with bony knees knocking together. Look at this thing. Wish I could. I can't hide this. That's fine though. We can see it. Look at them legs. Ugh, bro needs to get a chicken in him. A thin veil curtains its upper body, and something that resembles a bird's beak peeks out at its chest. The closer it gets, the better I'm able to make out the detail of its leathery skin and the beady, bloodshot eyes that dapple across its face above the rotting neck. Beak. Do I know how to read? Needle-thin arms bend sharply at the elbow and reach back behind the ghost's head. It balances on its elbows and pulls itself toward on them. It's actually pretty badass. I kind of want to see that animated. I make myself paper thin and shiver when part of its elbow brushes against one of my paws. I start breathing again when it passes quietly, then back into an intersection of hallways. Another ghost almost tramples me. These designs are so cool. Look at this. What is this one? Is fungus? Okay, sorry. Two ghosts follow one another down the path of the bird-like ghosts. One is a cluster of what looks like fungi and twisting fabric that melts into bumpy flesh, a stringy network of mycelium trails behind it. The other creates a sound of glass crunching together with every steady step it takes. The arms stick out like pieces of wood that lightly swing as it walks, as where its face should be is a void framed by jagged broken pieces of porcelain skin. I can still make out the raggedy made uniform that clings to its bloated form. Follow the ghosts in a trance. Like a line of school children, they walk along a well-known path. Normally, when a ghost is corrupted from being trapped in the land of the living, every semblance of their humanity is lost. So where do these ghosts stalk to with so much purpose? They navigate the hallways without hesitation, twisting and turning through a route already well worn. Then, so painfully easy, I have been led back to the kitchen. I see Dove standing in the kitchen table, delicately twisting an incandescent bulb into the hanging light fixture. Dried black tears stain her cheeks, but her expression betrays no sign of dejection. Another bulb is held loosely in her other hand. This one has been burnt out so badly that no light can penetrate its ashy, blackened surface. It took 40 years to develop this type of filament. Ghosts surround her. I watch them reach for her, and I open my jaws to bark out a warning, but I choke on my rising panic. Oh, is it just those three? Okay. Dove doesn't notice them and continues to screw in the bulb. I've read that these bulbs can stay lit for up to 1,200 hours. Claws brush against her skin. And yet, after less than a week, the legacy of lighting the dark has been snubbed out forever. One last turn of her wrist, the light envelops the room. Something so wonderful. Dove stares into the bulb's light, and her fingers caress the glass. Only breaks in a place like this. The ghosts have vanished. Dove gives no hint of awareness for the presence that had just left them. My blood thuds in my heart. Did he not see them? I look at the door that I had used to enter the mansion. I hear Dove dust off her hands and toss the old bulb into a box where it shatters amongst other pieces of glass. She sighs wearily. How long will this cycle continue for? I barely hear her words. Instead, I stare at the wall where the back door should be, and there is no door. I immediately freak out. I run to the wall, ignoring the ache of my arm, scratch at the old wallpaper. The door was only hidden behind it. My claws tear through the wood, but as I continue scratching, the outline of a door does not reveal itself. Back away, staring at the shredded decoration and breathing rapidly. It's not there anymore. I turn my head up to see Dove sitting on the kitchen table, swinging her legs. She stares at the wall I had torn up and gives me a blank expression. I explode. My body ignites with fiery rage as I howl and snarl at her. Bark, times 4. She frowns and her eyes turn downcast with guilt. I don't know how to get it back. Oh crap, attack her, but I force her to help. I give up. I don't want to be mean to the chick that tried to help me, okay? I'm not going to bite her. I'm not going to attack her. I don't want to bark at her more, all right? She was chill. She was like, are you all right? Like, help me out. So whatever. I whimper and go back to scratch the door more in desperation. I'm sorry. Enough. I'm tired of seeing you wallow in your despair. I reply with an indignant huff. I see Dove puff her cheeks with annoyance, turn my head and rest it on my paws. What the? Holy kawaii! There's no way out. It's better for you to just accept it. A growl rumbles in my throat. Even the front door is gone, so instead of wasting time, you may as well follow me and keep yourself occupied. I wish I could cry. My ears lay flat against my skull. I've landed myself right in the mouth of a carnivorous flower with the sweetness of shelter to lure me in. I should have noticed the sharp teeth at the entrance. Actually, I think you did. I would argue that you did notice the sharp teeth at the entrance. You tried to walk away and the storm literally forced you in. There's nothing you can do about that. Okay, buddy. Beat yourself up. I take a peek at Dove. She's like a caged bird in this house. Doesn't she hate it? Can anyone possibly live like this? Her patience reaches its end as she slides off the kitchen table. I cry out when she hauls me off the ground and I bare my fangs at her when her face appears right before mine. My glare doesn't faze her. Follow, wolf. There's much to do. We return to the labyrinth of hallways. Dove seems to know her way around them well. Now that I'm not frantically running around through them, I notice a huge difference in the manor's atmosphere. Less dirt coats the floor, ceiling lights illuminate the hallways, and it almost feels peaceful. Dove stops by a closet in the hallway. She grabs onto the handles of the doors and opens it up to reveal shelves and cupboards of miscellaneous tools and supplies. She climbs a stool to reach the highest shelf and retrieves a box with small buckets and brushes. Tense up at the sight of the stool beginning to sway back and forth. She climbs back down without issue before leading me into a room I recognize very quickly. Wow. She makes her way to the broken side table. I'd spot it when I first explored the rooms in the mansion, and I take the time to look around. The dining table with only 3 chairs takes up most of the room. Candles spike up from the top like stalagmites. Sorry, candles spike up from the top like stalagmites. There's so many that I think they could render a fire hazard if they were all lit. Hardened wax drips over the edge. I can see the end of a fountain pen, as well as scraps of paper. I'm unable to see a well of ink from my position, but I assume that is what runs down the dusty tablecloth in dark splotches. A glint catches my attention. On the other side of the room, I'm unsettled by the mirrors that cover the wall from floor to ceiling. I swallow a lump that forms in my throat, and do not let my eyes linger on them. I lay on the floor and watch her slather strongly scented glue on the broken leg of the table. She roughly connects the broken leg to the rest of the table and fans it with her hands so it dries faster. She tests its sturdiness with a light finger. Why do you keep making her do this? Then scrunches her nose when it wobbles. She twists around and digs in her box. Then pulls out a roll of twine with a bright expression on her face. My brows furrow together. Dove twirls the string around the leg and binds it tightly. When she's done, she sets the table straight again. It still rocks unsteadily, but it stays standing. It seems to be good enough for Dove, because she picks up her box again and gives it a nod. I leap from my spot on the floor and spin to a loud noise. In the corner of the room, the long-haired ghost from earlier stands bent over a broken vase. I flinch when Dove lets out a startled noise and starts to stride towards it. I like this annoyed face, actually. I bark in alarm. It's dangerous. She ignores me. Ziri! I grab the back of her gown with my teeth to stop her. Dove's demeanor goes from angry to taken aback. She stops and looks down at me. I shock myself with my own actions and quickly drop her skirt. Dove considers me for a moment, then switches her attention back to the ghost that marches over to him. You klutz. My jaw drops. I don't need another person to clean up after. The ghost laces its long finger together and bows its head. When Dove gets closer to it, she stumbles and cries out. The ghost snaps its head back up to her. Dove checks the bottom of her foot and sees a shard embedded in the flesh. Red blooms from the small wound. The ghost makes a groaning sound and steps toward Dove. She hisses when it walks through the mess of glass and drags it with him. It's concerned for her? I observe their interaction, feeling befuddled. Everything I know about corrupted ghosts is being challenged. Pause to think about how the ghosts rushed to her side earlier. The ghost tugged on Dove's sleeves like... Sorry, I thought I heard something in my house just now. Maybe it's a corrupted ghost. The ghost tugs on Dove's sleeve like it's asking for forgiveness. She continues to badger it while digging the shard out of her foot. I study them curiously. Was it because they wanted to cause her harm? I trail behind Dove when she leaves to treat the small cut, and when she returns to clean up the mess. We leave the ghost and Dove continues down whatever to-do list she has in her mind. Sorry about that. Turns out there was something in my house. But we don't need to talk about that. It wasn't a corrupted ghost, so... While she paints over the scratches on the kitchen door, trying to match the old wallpaper, she speaks to me. Have you met all of them already? She doesn't speak again until we run into another ghost. It waits in the hallway for Dove. She perks up when she sees what it's holding. Oh, thank you, Babel. She takes a small bundle of red roses from it, freshly torn from its bush. Follow her to a window and see a tall, thin vase with withered roses in it sitting in the sill. Dove takes out the dead flowers and replaces them, and she pauses and looks down at something below. Her face reveals nothing. She tears her gaze away and makes her way down the hall again. Before following her, I stand on my haunches to try and peer out the window. Chill comes down on me when I look down to see a small patch of graves, each marked by a small wooden cross. I break away from the unnerving sight and turn toward the hall where Dove had gone down. She stands at the end of the hall, waiting for me. Bird-like ghost's name is Grell. The hall-like ghost's name is Odette. Dove introduces them officially when we run into them. As we go around the manor doing mundane tasks. I like those names. It's a sight I can't get used to. I can't understand how a young girl can act so normal around such monstrous beings. Seeing their translucent and leathery skin with the fluids that drip from their decaying flesh is enough to send me reeling. But she does not flinch or fear. Earlier, when they had surrounded her in the kitchen, she could tell they were there, weaving their arms together to wrap her in a ghostly embrace. She didn't care in the slightest. I started to think she's more disturbing than the ghosts. To become this corrupted, they would have had to stay trapped in this place for a long time. Why are they still here? Their horrific forms border on pitiful. Be this far gone. Has to be some type of hell. Dove walks among them like they're her family, though. No, that's not quite it. I rearrange my thoughts. Maybe the image of the graves flashes in my mind. It's because she is theirs. It's because it's theirs, yeah. I watch her guide Grell's gangly limbs out of the hallway so they can pass through like they're nothing but an annoying sibling. Monster, just like them. Maybe this cage she lives in is of her own making. Dove does these errands like a routine, putting books away in the library and cleaning up the candles burned to the end of their wicks. By the time she finishes winding up the large grandfather clock in the hallway, the manor feels like a completely different place. The air is less stifled by dust particles, the rooms are brighter, and it feels like a home now. As we walk back to Dove's room, the sun begins its descent into a blazing orange horizon, and the evening cicadas make their shrill voices heard. Despite the manor feeling more livable, there's a feeling it gives me that I cannot shake. A void that looms like a presence. It's like letters left unfinished, or tea half empty and turning cold. There's this sense of stagnation that places this manor outside of time's reach, and it leaves a noise that buzzes persistently in the air. Dove stops abruptly, and I almost trip over my paws trying not to run into her. I take a peek from behind her and immediately let out a yelp. The very first ghost I had met stands at the end of the hallway. Dove, does it move? I see the ghost stagger down the hall towards us, and I instinctively back away. Then Dove speaks. It's okay. Her tone is not very convincing. The ghost gets closer, and I can see the details of her leaking entrails. Right-clicked again. I make a whimpering sound and hide behind Dove, keeping myself close to the wall. She's harmless. She doesn't do anything. I throw a quick glance at Dove when her voice falters. But watch. The ghost is right beside us. Its hollow eyes look down at Dove. She holds its unseeing gaze with cold eyes. I don't breathe. But the acrid smell of rot overwhelms my heightened sense of smell. The tension between Dove and the ghost creates a pressure that thins the air, making my lungs ache for oxygen. Pain seizes my chest, just when I can no longer hold my breath in. The ghost continues down the hall passively. I exhale loudly. I startle when Dove clenches her fist beside me. Her eyes follow the ghost for a couple of seconds longer. She cuts off her stare and moves on. I quickly chase after her, not wanting to be alone with this particular ghost again. Ever again, if my luck allows it. I look back for a split second to see the ghost has disappeared. Dove's shoulders are squared as we return to her room. Since the sun is set in the opposite direction of her window, the scattering of colors from this morning's is long gone. Her relationship with the hallway ghost is much different from the others. The way she spoke about her almost seemed resentful. I got to a corner, stalling for a moment when I see the collar from earlier on the floor. I narrow my eyes at it, pick it up with my teeth, and throw it at the far wall. I give the collar one last glare, and curl up on the floor. Dove settles cross-legged in the middle of her book towers and reaches for a random text. I let out a big yawn, feeling heavy after the events of the day. I don't know if there's enough time in the world to process everything that's happened to me since I left home. Close my eyes and feel the tendrils of sleep curl around me. Do you think people could come back from the dead? She asks it so quietly, I almost don't hear it. I don't think she expects an answer, and I cannot give her one. Dove's Roses